So in honor of International Women's Day, I want to take a minute here to introduce my friend Maggie Gerson. And when I called Maggie to ask her if she would join me on International Women's Day to talk about some of her background and her experience, one of the first things she said was, no, not me. It should be somebody else. And I said, no, Maggie, I definitely want to hear from you because I think your story is wonderful and I want you to be able to share it with all of us. And so Maggie, I really appreciate you being here. You want to take yourself off mute and we'll just have a little conversation here?
Sure. Happy National Women's Days.
Thank you.
I'm very honored to be here. And I guess Leslie has asked me a question. I don't know what I'm going to say.
That's okay. So I wanted you, Maggie, to share. I thought I would start with when did you move to the United States and what was your childhood like? What do you remember your parents telling you was important when you were a child? And tell us what your childhood was like.
So I grew up in a big family from both sides, mom and dad's side. My mom has 12 siblings. My dad has 11. So I have a lot of uncles and aunties, and I'm the youngest of 6. And we have 5 girls, we only have boys, 1 boy in the household. And back in my days, I think woman doesn't have a lot of rights. So especially my dad, he is a very conservative, and he thinks women shouldn't have any education. So I was very lucky because I'm the youngest of the 6. My sister, I think my older sister only have maybe till 6th grade, and she has to stop because my dad says she has to make a living for the house. We don't come from a big, rich family. So I think that's part of that. I wanted to do everything I can for my children in the future, so that have to fight for the woman's right. So, and I came to United States back in 1994, which is going to 29 years in United States. And it wasn't easy, but especially all by myself. I guess that's part of the want to leave my family, because I think being that time in the house, just that my father is just doesn't agree with what women should do more than a man, and then he always think we shouldn't have a lot of education. And I think this is something that I always remember as my childhood, that my dad always say, just marry a good man and you don't need to have any education. And we're all very different. I mean, as I came to America, I realized that this is a very freedom country. And I grew up in a very Muslim monarchy country. So I think that's a very big difference. So I love America, and I'm glad that I raised my kids here, so that they have much more option for that in the future.
You're raising daughters and a son. You have feminists on both sides that you are raising. Yeah.
Yes.
And so what do you teach your children that may be different or that's the same as what you learned as a child?
So, you know, it's so funny. My children always say, Mommy, you very stereotype. Because sometimes I I think sometimes I have a little, I don't know, it's just like because the way my family raised me, so it just like I do have a little bit still think the boys and the girls, it's a little hard to be equalities, and I try my best, especially now to be here to raise my kids, especially all the Americans kids, and they want to be equals. And but I say to myself, I really have to learn that I'm not gonna be those one of the stereotype. So I told my children, I say, you guys very, very fortunate, and because we give them a fully support no matter what they want to do.
I think that's really one of the components of the so-called American dream, right? Is that you can grow up to be what you want to be. And so often that is because of support from your family, from your family members, from your community. Sometimes it's support from government that helps. So I appreciate that you're saying that you recognize that support has to happen. And you know, your children might not, I have two children who are kind of close to your children's age. They're not going to tell you anytime soon that you're right. I don't think. I hear from my friends who have adult children that at some point your children might start telling you you're right. But I don't think you and I get to hear that for at least another 10 years. Maggie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to wait till they're out of college for that.
Really, you have to wait till they're out of college before you
Yeah,
know
just
anything again.
don't hold your breath.
That's good to know. Thank you, Deborah. Thanks. And so what do you hope, Maggie, that your children will learn from their own experiences after school? What are you hoping for them going forward?
You know what? I think my really I came far and I really went through a lot. Especially left my family. This is going to 29 years here. I mean, I haven't seen my mom for 5 years, so because of the pandemic. But then I'm just hoping that you know they embrace everything what they have right now, because I think with the war right now, especially with the whatever is going on, it is very upset. And I try not to look at the media so much, and I try to tell my children that whatever you have right now, you should be appreciate, and like in the future, like you really never know what will happen, and just embrace what you have and be strong. And then life is like an up roller coaster. You fall and you move it on. And I don't know, I feel like I can't really tell my children now. I'm just hoping they grow up be a good person, good humanity, and then just be happy in the life. Because it just I can, because I feel like growing up that I don't have any support from my family. I did all by myself. I fell down, I cried, tears in my eyes, I move on. And I said to myself, I have to be strong. And sometimes my kids come home, they have a rough day, and then all I have to tell them, you have to be strong. You can just skip it out, and you got this. I always say this word, you got this. And I feel like this is a very powerful word. So I always tell them this 3 words, you got this, you got this. So I think I always wanted to tell my children. And be a good person, be a good person. That's all I want to say for my children.
Maggie, thank you. I think that's it's a really powerful story that you came here and you left what you had behind, and you have become so successful here, and you're raising your children now with that motto, "You've got this." I think that's tremendously powerful, Maggie, and thank you for helping to raise the next generation of people who are going to be inheriting the world that we leave them. It means a whole lot to me that you
Exactly. It's crazy world right now.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Thank you for having me though. I
Well,
really
thank
appreciate
you.
it. And I just I don't know. I feel like sometimes I just can't express myself too well, but I feel like uh with especially with the International Women's Days today, like I give myself a lot of time to think back what I've been through and who I am today. So I think I did pretty good job for myself.
You did a very good job. Maggie, I think you got this. I think you got this. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much.